Hello class, welcome to the final demonstration of music before we take our midterm, right? We're going to be discussing page 36 today, a march in the style of Bach. Notice that we are in F major hand position, so if you haven't familiarized yourself with the F major hand position, we should have previously with page 28. But go ahead and do so now. Pause this video, get familiar with it so we can really discuss this piece of music. This piece of music we're going to be discussing today is a difficult piece of music. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a difficult piece of music. I've never had a piano class in my years teaching at Central and in my years teaching here at YVC. I've never had a piano class that has not struggled with this piece of music. But you have something that the other classes did not. And that is you have your teacher, your professor, demonstrating this for you on video. And more specifically on a video that you can pause, rewind, and rewatch as many times as you want in order to get this piece of music down. I guess part of the perks of having an online piano class, right? So that being said, let's get right into it. What I want to discuss though first are just some practice habits that can help us learn this piece of music, because our hands are doing different things in this piece of music and it's going to be challenging. But if you come through this, I guarantee you will be a better piano player by far, by large margins. So the first thing I want to discuss is practice, right? How do we practice a piece of music this large? 16 measures. It's the largest piece of music we've practiced so far. Well, instead of playing from point A to point B, instead take this piece of music in chunks. Don't practice it. Try to practice from the very beginning to the very end. The mistakes that you make in the beginning will be long forgotten by the time you get to the mistakes you're committing at the very end. Instead, maybe practice every 2 measures. Once that's down, maybe practice a line at a time, 4 measures, right? But really what I find most beneficial for students is to practice every 2 measures. So you would practice measures 1 and 2, measures 2 and 4. But here's the key. Sometimes practicing those measures, we'll get those measures down quite well, quite accurately. And then we'll have a break, a pause, where our brain is kind of thinking, oh, where's the next 2 measures? And then we play the next 2 measures seamlessly. And so we kind of play, pause, play, pause, play, pause. We don't want that. So what I suggest is, yes, going in every 2 measures. Practice measures 1 and 2. Practice measures 2 and 4. Then bridge that gap by practicing measures 2 and 3, right? The same thing can be said with finger shifts. Now I'm going to point the camera towards the music here and I'm going to talk about this. Just a second. What I'm talking about is, if we look at measure 1, I oftentimes get students that have a lot of issue playing this note to this note to this note and up to this note while moving these fingers. So what I suggest, as you can see that I've written in here, is practicing what I call over the bar line. Yeah, we can practice this measure. Cool, we've got that. That's easy. But then getting our fingers to practice this. So I've bracketed this here. Practice from here to here. Then, if you so choose, practice from here to there. Or practice from here to there. That's what's going to aid you the most. Now this is applicable to the rest of the piece of music. For example, if we wanted to get this measure down, we would practice from here to there. Don't worry about this note. That note will come later. We have to get dun, dun, da, hand shift, right? This is going to be the most challenging thing about this, is making sure that we play these notes and then shift our hands together at the same time, right? So my assistant is going to hold the camera here and I'm actually going to demonstrate some of these things. First, what I'm going to demonstrate is measure 2. Then I'm going to demonstrate measure 6. So follow along in your book, because the camera is just going to be focused on my hands. So let's start with measure 2. Now we're in F major position, right? So my hands are on, lowest fingers are on F, right? So let's start with this right here. And we're going to start with measure 2. How I would practice this to get this shift down is like this. And I'm going to practice that over and over again. just to get that shift down. You see, I'm leaving out this B flat coming up because I don't need to worry about the yet. I need to focus on this hand shift. And I'm going to do that 4, 5, 6 times in a row. Till it feels natural. Then I'll add that B flat in. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the half part of the measure of measure 2, the last 2 notes of measure 2, the last 2 beats, and I'm going to try to get over the bar line like I talked about. So I'm practicing the last 2 measures of bar 2 into the first beat of bar 3, measure 3. Now I'm going to practice measure 6, and here's what that looks like. These are ways that we can practice that enable us to understand and figure out these finger shifts and make them feel more natural. That being said, now we're going to start the piece of music from the beginning, and I'm going to count out loud. I'm going to play this rather slowly so that we can get all these finger shifts and hand shifts in. Always keeping in mind that we can pause the video whenever we want, rewind the video whenever we want, and come back to the video whenever we want. Here we go. From the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. So what I'm going to do, class, is I'm going to play this one more time without counting. Okay? So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So class, this concludes the demonstration of what piece of music is going to be on the midterm, right? So always be checking your syllabus for what we're going to be doing. And what I'm going to conclude this video with is just a real quick reminder of we can write fingerings in. Write your fingerings in. Let's take a look at what I've done in this piece of music here. So I went ahead and written in 1. I think I'll write in a 5 so I remember that jump. And I go back to 1. I don't need to write these notes in. They just go up scalar. I need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. 1, 2. I might write in 1, 2 to remind myself. Might remind myself that I go back up to 5. Now here's where it's an important measure. 5, 4, 3. Here's a skip, right? We want to really make sure we get that skip. I have a lot of students that just walk down the scale and go 5, 4, 3, 2. But it's not. If it's a 2, I wouldn't go from space to space. I would go from space to line for a 2. But I go from space to space, right? So always remember that you feel free to write in fingerings. And feel free to send me a screenshot of those fingerings, or a text message with those fingerings, or an email with those fingerings, starting with every note. Say, hey, my first finger is 1, then 5, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and write them in a list. And I can follow along in my music. I have the same textbook, and I can point out the mistake if there is one, right? So never hesitate to contact me with any questions you might have, or just an email with saying, hey, Mr. Cashmitter, Professor Cashmitter, am I on the right track? Yeah, you are. Congratulations. Good for you. Great. Okay? So, as always, class, take care.